Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dentrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Costas. What is up, my friends? I hope you're doing great out there today. I have a new friend with me today with a very, very interesting backstory and a really cool bio. Let's welcome to the podcast today, Samad Syed. He's the founder and CEO of SRS Web Solutions, Inc., the company behind mConsent, the operating system for modern dental practices. Well, it's great to have you. All the way from Dallas, Texas. Tell me just a little bit about your backstory. How did you get involved with dentistry in the first place, and specifically SRS Web Solutions?
Awesome. So this November, we turned 10. This is our 10th anniversary that we're going to celebrate in November. So my journey started in 2015, where I was walking out of the hospital in Minneapolis with a hernia repair.
Oh, I had that done. It's not fun.
It's not fun at all. It's not fun at all. And then following that, what happened was I got multiple bills for the same treatment. Every month we would get a bill. My wife would pay the bill. She get another bill. She'll pay the bill. And then what we realized after 4 months was that we paid the same bill 3 times actually. And that was the time where I realized that, hey, there's something wrong here. Let me go and figure it out, what's happening here. And this wasn't a clinical problem, as you can see. This was an operations problem. The part patients and front desk live with every day. Yeah. And, I took those bills home, sat at the kitchen table with my wife and said that let's fix the way care actually works. And, that's what that was the beginning of mConsent. We started with dental intake processes. Our early demos were awkward. Our first customers were brave, but the lines got shorter at the practices. Data got cleaner, and teams could actually finally start breathing on from moving away from clipboards to getting into the digital part of what I call mConsent.
But you still walk into some dental practices and there's paper charts and physical x-rays. We're getting less and less of that. But I have friends that own dental labs, and they say still the vast majority of the impressions that they take are still, the goop, polyvinyl siloxane, IPS, and not digital. So dentistry are a bunch of slow adopters. And I can say that because I'm a dentist that had multiple practices. And if I would acquire a practice, I was shocked at the level or lack of technology that was integrated into a lot of these practices.
Absolutely. And I will say that, not only dentistry, but the healthcare in general is considered among laggards in the industries. Like if you compare with other industries, healthcare is among the laggards when adopting at a very slow pace of any new technology that comes in. So we have moved people from paper to clipboards. But what we deal today with is fragmented workflow of manual digital. That's what I call it. You do have people moved away from clipboards to digital, but they're still doing things that are very fragmented. They're chasing the paperwork. It's not automated. So there's still problems that are out there that needs to be fixed. And I do think that, there are, what is manual digital? Let me explain that. Take a quick moment and explain that. If you are a practice and you still have unfinished forms, so you're sending forms, you're manually sending out forms to each patient every day. Yep. And when the forms come in, you're still retyping all that information into your practice management system. Yeah. You don't have a system where you can confirm the eligibility of patients at least 48 hours before. Yes, you're paperless, but you're not automated. You're still chasing a lot of paper, right? So I think that's what people need to understand, is that their workflow is fragmented. And what needs to happen is some change of habits as you speak. They're not quite there yet, because I think their cloud-based system, they're still figuring out, right? They're still in figuring out phases, because what the people in technology, what they need to understand when working with dental practices is that there's so many different connections that you have to work with. It's not just the demographics and keeping it as a database, but you have multiple connections, multiple financial connections and terminals and x-rays and diagnosis tools and CBCTs and all that stuff, and the load that brings into the practice, depending on if you see 10 patients per day to 50 patients, 100 patients a day. So I think it's still in the mode of learning, and it's still in the mode of I would say, infancy stage where they're still trying to figure out things. There are a few people who are, I think, more mature than others. But what mConsent does is that we try to work more with server-based EMR systems and try to, integrate and sit on top of them and try to handle the data in a more efficient way, I would say.
What does the user experience look like?
So let me tell you the trap that usually dental offices are trapped in, usually, where I define them in 3 different stages, right? So the first stage is completely manual. You have paper clipboard and you're working as patients come in, you're asking them to fill out the forms, and you have front desk basically. This is early 2015, 2014, I would say, where, practices, that was the process of the practices. And that's fully manual. You have to basically scan every document that you get. You have to enter all the information. That means that you have fat fingers and you have one date of birth wrong, and your claims are not processing. Your account receivables is impacted with that, and it just impact the whole stream workflow basically. And the final impact, what you see, is towards your account receivables. Now, the digital manual or semi-digital is basically you have a software where you are able to send out, let's just talk about check-in process for now, right? I'm going to focus on check-in process. Sure. And you do have a patient where you're able to see the appointments, and then you have front office, still dependent on front office, where they are sending out forms as the patients are, as patients need to come in. You call that as pre-visit forms. Like before they come in, you want them to complete those forms. And when they come in, let's say they don't fill out the forms, you give them an iPad where they're filling out all the forms on the iPad. And you're still chasing. If you think about this, you're chasing the patients. And what you see is that, yes, it helped you, but you're still at 40-50% of efficiency. And when they come to the back office and you need to get consent signs, there's still offices that has clipboards and they still make sure they get the signatures on the clipboard for the consents, and then they still have to scan it and put it in the system. So this is the digital manual process that usually the practices follow. Now, the ultimate solution that we want the practices to get in, I call that as a rapid intake. And rapid intake is a simple system that we teach to the practices. And the rapid intake system is basically, R means you're ready 48 hours before. That means that 2 days before your patient visits, your eligibility, your benefits, your frequency limits, your waiting time periods, your front office have it, and you're marking that as a ready or not ready. So there are no surprises. Your A means that you have automatically, you're sending the packets as a new patient, as an emergency patient, as a recall patient. You're sending it out to the patients so that they're filling it out without the front office chasing it. And our AP, P stands for basically having a point of arrival catch-up system, where we say that have a kiosk in place where you still have like your 30 to 40% of your patients are not going to fill out pre-visit forms. So when they are at your kiosk, they're able to check in quickly, and any incomplete work is going to be sent back to them to fill it out. So while they're waiting in your practice, they're able to complete the documentation and send it out to you. And then I stands for having an iPad where you have digital consents, where you can just get a quick signature and everything goes direct into your PMS system. And D is, directly writing into PMS, not just demographics, but more than that, you are able to get all that information basically getting right into your PMS system, and your front office doesn't have to retype anything into the PMS system. So that's what we call as that's what we teach our practices, that's a rapid system. If you have a rapid system, that means that you are now automated on your front desk. And how do you measure that, right? So coming to a point of measuring it, you have to check whether your forms are getting completed. 90% of the patients are completing the form before they come in. You're checking your verification part, where you're able to verify at least 80% of your patients before they are coming in for the practice. When I say verified means eligibility and all that stuff is verified. And what you will see is that your show rate is going to start improving. Your account receivables are going to start improving, and your front desk touches per patients should trend lower. So your front desk is not touching each patient. They're just going to kiosk. They're making sure that they're ready, and then they're waiting for you and to get checked in. So sorry I took long, but this is a system that I wanted to share. Human errors will go down, just because now me as a patient, I know my first name, how it should be spelled, and how it should be, what's my date of birth, how it should be written. So that reduces a lot of pain at the front desk.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go back to your example and your origin story for this company. There's some duplicate billing. There's some human errors that caused multiple invoices to be sent that you didn't catch. So that now goes on the patient. That goes to patient experience. That goes to frustration from the front.
Absolutely.
That has to answer those incoming questions, the billing department, and from the patient that has to track down what the heck is going on. So how would that have improved with mConsent?
So that's a great question. What we do is that on the financial side, we provide a system called as mPair. mPair, what it does is that it looks at account receivables, what you're supposed to receive from 0 to 90 days. And you can actually automate that based on the accounts that have been not collected. So we are able to see that, okay, these are the accounts that have not been collected. And either the front office can figure out when and how to send that out as a reminder, basically texting to the patient, or sending as an email, where you're able to see clearly what you have paid, what you have not paid, and what are the open bills. And that gives clarity to the patient, clarity to the front office, what's being paid, what's not being paid, and what you're paying for. So that's how I think we are able to help that out from the financial perspective to the patients. We have about 100 folks working within the company. We have about 30 developers that are continuously focused on improving the product. What we do is when we started out, the first 50 customers, I would say, was the hardest one for us to figure it out. When you start working in a new industry, you figure out very quickly that, hey, integration is a big deal. 2014, 2015, people are still figuring out what integrations are, what should integrate, what should not integrate, what is allowed, what is not allowed, APIs and all that stuff. It's all very new for us. And but amazing team that we have. We were able to figure out the first integration that we worked with, as you said, Open Dental. We started with Open Dental, then we got into Dentrix, then we got into EagleSoft. This took us about 2 years just to figuring out all these integrations and how do we, get the process aligned in a way where it makes sure that it works with the workflow of how office works. So you have to actually sit in the dental office. You have to be with the dentist. You have to see how the workflow is work. So first 50 offices, me personally, with probably 5 or 7 people at that time, I was able to sit in the office and watch what is happening, where are the issues, just mapping out each and every process, understanding where the pain points are, and understanding that, how to, if you even move a process, then you have to make sure that the amount of training that goes to change the habits and the change the mindset of the front office, it takes a lot of time. Yeah. So you just have to be aware of the fact that if you don't improve their life by 10 times, you are not going to get their buy-in. Sure. So we start with basically demoing online how the system works. Yeah. What do they expect? So you basically show them exactly what are they going to expect after we complete the onboarding. That's what sales team does. So they exactly show that, okay, these are your forms, this is your intake portion, you're looking to improve your operations, and this is how we come into your business. We basically integrate. The first step is that we take your forms, digitize those forms if they're not digitized yet, and then we build the system to match what your practice does. Appointment reminders, text messaging, all that stuff has been looked at. The onboarding team actually spends about 2 to 3 weeks in the every 2 to 3 days. About 4 hours of training is needed in 2 weeks. And the system is simple enough where people can understand, okay, for me to send the forms or receive the forms, what do I need to do? And they sit down and do the thorough training with the front office staff. The good thing is that they can call us anytime if they have any questions, or our system is easy to use, so we don't have to spend like hours of training just to train on the system. We start at $299 a month, which basically have like all the check-in processes needed, and then it can go up to $590, which has like finance appointment reminders, reputation management, and treatment plan reminders, and reactivation part. So it has the whole, the full suite that they can get for $590. So we started with a few of my doctor friends who trusting that we can make it happen, and we're still cash flow positive. We don't need we haven't got any PE fund, or we haven't looked for any VC or PE fund. Let me put it that way.
Okay, cool. So, what's the user base at this point?
We have about 2,000 offices that use mConsent across US. There are very few there's some in New Zealand, Australia, Canada. So
is it provider cost, or is it office per office?
It's office per location.
Per location. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So what do you got? So you kind of glossed over very quickly, like beside the paperless forms, et cetera, you have other enhanced deliverables. So I guess it is the whole idea to decrease the number of plugins that you have into the PMS, so you can be kind of a one-stop shop. That'd be a superior situation. And
because consolidation is a big word, and what we're trying to do is consolidate all those features under one umbrella, so that people don't have to pay 15 integration fees and 5 subscription fees, right? So what we do help with is the patient intake part, which I just discussed with you, and we also help with patient communication part, which is helping with appointment reminders, improving the show rate, text messaging to the patients, and chatting with the patients, receiving X-rays or asking for patient IDs, all that stuff. It comes under patient communication.